Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a review of the Nerf N-Strike or Nerf Elite Rayven gun. And so I actually picked up this blaster a few days ago, and as you know, I'm recently back into the hobby of Nerf, and I had not picked up a stock blaster or even looked at the new stock Nerf Hasbro blasters in a while. And this was the first one I chose to purchase simply because it looked very cool. And I generally don't care too much about the looks of the gun, more about the functionality, but I think this looks very cool. It's smaller. It's definitely smaller in person, at least for me. I saw a few videos of it, saw the picture, and it's very compact and very easy to hold. It's incredibly easy to hold, incredibly comfortable, and I think Nerf did an incredible job manufacturing this blaster, tailoring it to fit really any person's kind of dynamic here. I think the grip is very comfortable. I think it fits my hand perfectly, and I do actually have kind of big hands. And I think curling the stock up in your shoulder is a great fit as well. Now on to the kind of actual functionality of the blaster. This particular one is the N-Strike version. I think the N-Strike versions are green. This green is kind of a lime green, and it does have the urban camo, digital camo feel that blaster such as the Long Strike had, and I think the Retaliator has. And again, I haven't seen too many new Nerf blasters in a while just because I've been out of the hobby for so long. But this is operated on a flywheel basis, and essentially what a flywheel basis is, that means that there are two flywheels inside the gun right about here. And those flywheels are powered by a motor that turns two wheels that are about the same distance apart from each other as the width of a dart. You can see I've loaded the darts in the clip. So you can power up the flywheels by depressing this kind of switch here, and as you can hear, it starts to rev up. It takes about 1.5 seconds to rev up fully, and then you can start pulling the trigger. It's not a fully automatic blaster, but I actually kind of prefer that because I've had trouble with fully automatic blasters in the past. And that does also mean that it can cut down on battery usage since it's not fully automatic. So it's a semi-automatic blaster, but operated on a flywheel basis. A few problems with the flywheel technology, although I like it in general. A few problems that I find with it when I'm playing around with it as a stock blaster. One, it actually takes a while. It takes about 1 second to rev up. So if you're really in a dire situation and you're not holding down the switch, then you're going to have to wait 1 second before you start firing. Because if you start firing before the flywheels have had their full time to gain momentum, the darts will actually kind of peter out of the barrel, and they'll either fishtail, they won't go as far as they could be going, it just won't be very impressive. So I tend to wait for the full second, so if I know I'm going to be shooting soon, I start holding it down. I don't like to hold it down the whole time I'm using it in a war. I've only played with it a few times with friends, just because it's kind of loud. Anyways, the clip is a great clip. It holds 18 darts, and it comes stock with these glow-in-the-dark, they're essentially glow-in-the-dark streamlines. And here's what the gun looks like without the clip. You can put regular N-Strike 6 capacity clips in here. You can put the 35 capacity magazine in here, drum mag. Now I'm going to move on to the locks of this blaster because that's what I'm actually going to. Sorry about that, my camera actually cut out for a second. But I'm going to be moving on to the locks in this blaster because that's what a lot of people like to focus on, and that's what I'll be focusing on when I open this up for you. There are 3 main locks in this blaster that prove to be kind of annoying. The first one is by the trigger, the second one is in the magwell, and the third one is with the jam door right here. And as you can see, this is where the darts enter through the magazine. First I'm going to go over this clip lock. Now it's not super important, but the trigger lock. It's not super important to remove this, but it could prove to be useful for you. I don't know when. But I think generally people just don't like having locks in the blasters. I'm one of those people. Currently you cannot depress the trigger without depressing the switch for the flywheel system. And I'm actually going to put the clip in because that's going to activate a lock for me as well. So right now I can't pull this trigger. Right now I can. I'm not going to actually pull it because I don't want to fire the blaster. I'm going to go ahead and hold this lock down. So right now I can actually pull the trigger. There's a few locks going on here. But you can only pull the trigger when you're depressing the switch for the flywheel basis. The next lock that I'm going to go over is the lock in the magwell. you can actually see here, as in many Nerf blasters that accept magazines, there's an orange tab there that is depressed when the magazine is inserted into the magwell. And so that's constantly depressed now. And that, in fact, when you don't have it in, you cannot rev up the blaster or you cannot pull the trigger. And so I'll actually hold that down for you and show you that when I'm not holding it down, I cannot rev up the blaster. When I am holding it down, I can rev the blaster perfectly fine. But I still can't pull the trigger because that lock is further in there. Let me see if I can get that one. Yeah, there we go. So there are actually technically 2 locks in this magwell. I'll be removing both of them. There's one further back in there if you can see it, and that's the one that actually allows me to pull the trigger. The first one allows me to rev up the blaster, the second one allows me to pull the trigger. I'll be removing both of those shortly. The third and probably the most important one to remove would be right here by the jam door. So you can see in there that little black tab. And what that basically does is if I have this blaster all ready to fire, sorry, bring the clip in backwards. Clip is fully loaded, jam door is closed, I can go ahead and fire. I can rev up the blaster, I can wait my 1.5 seconds, and I can start shooting semi-automatically. But if I have this jam door up, I cannot do any of that. I cannot rev up the blaster, I cannot pull the trigger. And so I don't see any need for that. I do think it's a smart move by Nerf, just seeing as the trouble they got into with the original launch of the Recon a few years ago, how the Recon has that reverse plunger style that actually came out of the back, and as kids went to go aim it, it ripped a little skin off their cheek, and I think that's what they're trying to avoid here. It could be over precautious, but who knows? Now, I'm going to go over a little bit of the mechanics of the blaster, give you a firing test, then open it up and show you what's inside. So, in terms of the mechanics of the blaster, it has an 18 round clip. It comes stock with, but you can put other clips in here, as I said. The 3 AA batteries go in the magazine, and when you turn the switch on, I don't have my batteries loaded, but when you turn the switch on, it actually illuminates the end of the magwell, and I'm not sure where those LEDs are. But and my presumption is that that is to kind of charge up the glow-in-the-dark aspect of the darts, because anything that's inherently glow-in-the-dark needs to be exposed to light for a certain amount of time for it to actually be functional in the dark. And so I'm assuming that's what that does. It also gives a kind of a cool blue aura when you look inside of the jam door. It's a blue light. And then the blaster is also accepts 4 AA batteries. I think I might have said AA magazines before, I don't know. But I did, I apologize. 4 AA batteries in here, I believe. And that's great because those are easy to get, and I will actually be performing a voltage mod where I replace those with Trustfire batteries, but you'll see that all in the next video. So as of now, I really like this blaster, and I'm going to go ahead and fire off. I think this is about 14 shots I've collected up. This is an assortment of the glow-in-the-dark streamlines and the regular N-Strike orange streamline. So I'm going to go ahead and fire at that garage door there for you. And I'm going to fire all shots. So I'm revving up the blaster. I'm going to fire semi-automatically. 6, 7, 8. Okay, that was a solid 13 shots. I'm going to pick up my darts and then move on to the next section. Okay, now that I've shot off about 13 shots, you guys can see the accuracy and the velocity at which they were fired. My one complaint about, or my few complaints about the firing and the actual mechanics of the blaster does lie in the flywheel system. I think that it's a great idea, and I think they executed it very well with this blaster. But my one complaint is that the darts often fishtail, and that makes them not as accurate because of the flywheel system. It's not perfect. And I know it's kind of a better blaster, not for the long range aiming, and I'm not even going to use it stock. I'll be modifying it soon here. But the idea is that I don't think the flywheel is that great in terms of accuracy. I do appreciate that the gun has a great rate of fire without having to prime it or pump it, and I do appreciate that aspect of the blaster. I just think the flywheel can be a little cumbersome at times, but overall I think it's a great blaster, and I love this blaster. I love it, which is why I picked up about 3 of them. I'll be modding. Hopefully I'll definitely be modding this one tomorrow night when I finish an exam I have tomorrow. you'll see a video on the modded version of this blaster tomorrow. As for right now, I think that's it for the Nerf Rayven. I'm going to, as I said, tomorrow you'll see the internals of it, and then you'll see the mods I'm performing. I'll be performing a voltage mod. I'll be removing all the various locks, and I will be modifying the gun so it accepts my Stefan darts. And hopefully that gives me some noticeable increases to the gun. Hopefully it's noticeably beneficial to the blaster, because I do like it a lot. I don't know about its practicality in terms of wars, but I do think it's a very fun blaster, and I do think it's very cool. I'm just going to talk really quickly right now about a few other things, very quickly. One is that, just a brief update. The next video will be on the Rayven, but the video following that will actually probably be on commissions, because this is just a precursor. I will be opening up commissions again. I had them in the past when I was younger. I'm going to have them again. The video will be self-explanatory in that sense. I'll kind of lay out the rules and flesh out all the guidelines there, but just know that commissions will be open. Please don't mass message me now with requests for commissions. I'm working on one now, and you'll actually be seeing videos on commissions as they go. Permission granted, of course. And so I think that's about it. I have a crossbow coming in the mail to me, and should be here tomorrow. And I have a few other things coming in the mail to me, and when I get those and start modding them and start working on them, you guys should see update videos on those. So thanks, and I'll see you guys later.